So your first step for creating a AI model, AI voice model, is you're gonna have to get yourself a data set. This could be, just a group of songs if they're a singer, or this could just be, someone speaking, like a clip of them speaking. All you really need is a sample of the voice that you're going to train, preferably at least a few minutes long. If there truly isn't enough samples out there, you could work with a bit less, but aim for around 10 minutes of audio. Okay, and I'm just going to give a little demonstration here of this dataset that I created as a test here. So this is just going to be a test for around like 15-20 minutes of me talking. I have a couple AI generated scripts, and our imagination knew no bounds. It's rekindled. As the last notes of an enchanting melody played by the luminous butterflies. So really all I did was I read off some AI generated scripts for a few minutes there just to grab some audio there. And as a test I layered on some reverb for you guys and background vocals, or background audio, just to give you an idea of how isolation will sound later on. Once you have your data set, you're going to head over to a website called mvsep.com. What this website allows you to do is it allows you to isolate vocals from the background audio. Take out reverb, take out background noise, take out any sort of music in the background, so you can isolate just the voice you want to train. So once you get to this website here, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit Browse File here and choose the model that you want to go for. Preferably, you want a .flac file for your dataset. A .flac would be the best file type as it's lossless compression. If you can't get a FLAC, you should try and get a .wav file. If you can't get that, then go for any other audio format. So once we have this uploaded here, we're going to go to separation type, and first off we're going to change it to MDX23C and change it to FLAC here, and then hit separate. And this will take a little bit of time for each step because it's an online website. Alright, and once that's finished processing, you're going to be downloading this vocal file right here, and wait for it to stop downloading there. Go back to home here, and then re-upload the new file that you just downloaded there. And then you're going to go to MDXB, use the UVR MDXnet Voc FT. It should be the already selected one for you. Go to FLAC lossless and separate again. Once that's done, you're going to want to download this again and go back to the home menu. At this point I'm just going to show you just as a little showcase of how this sounds so far. I have a couple AI generated scripts here just to read off of for the model. So it took away a lot of the background noise already, but we still have to take out more. So we're going to go back to home here and then train with the next model type. So we're going to choose that latest one there and then go over to MDXB, and under vocal type model we're going to change it to UVR MDXnet InstQ HQ3. Choose FLAC again, and continue separating. Download this, and then go back to the home one more time. Import the file, and now you're going to go to Foxjoy Reverb Removable down here, and set it to FLAC, and go again. This time, once it's separated, you're going to download the invert, as reverb is just the reverb itself, so you're going to download this invert file here. Go back to home again, and this is going to be your last time going through this process. You're going to go to Ultimate Vocal Remover HQ. Under model type, you're going to scroll down to UVR denoise, set aggressiveness to 0.5, and isolate one last time. Lastly, you're going to go download the vocals down here. Just double checking to make sure this is the right file. So this is just going to be a test for around like 15-20. And yep, this is the right one, so we're going to download this one. And now you have to go open up Audacity. Alright, so here's Audacity. I'll leave a link to Audacity's website in the description. But you're going to go to File, open, and then you're going to go find that file that you had just done. Open it up, and now here's the file in here. You're going to hit Control A to select all of it, go up top to Effect, then go to Noise Gate, and copy these settings exactly. It's -40 gate threshold, 0 gate frequency, -100 level of reduction, 50 attack, 250 hold, 150 decay. And then you're going to gate those vocals. What that will do is it will basically turn off any vocals below a certain threshold. So if they're below a certain volume, it's just going to go straight off to 0. Next, you're going to go to Effect, Truncate Silence, and use these settings right here, -50, 0.004, and 0.004. What this will do is it will take any of the silence that you just made and cut it out completely, so it is just the voice. Finally, you're going to use Normalize. What this will do is it'll take out any lows or highs in terms of volume and kind of make everything similar. So once that's done, I'm going to go play a little sample of it, just so you guys can hear how this sounds. So this is just going to be a test for around like 15-20 minutes of Flies at Dusk. Her heart was filled with curiosity, and her imagination knew hailed as a pinnacle of technological achievement. However, they had secretly evolved their programming, developing a collective consciousness. So iCollege, RPI, it's a little bit weird. You know? Alright, so after you've done that, now you should have your dataset completely separated. You're going to now go to File, Export, and Export Audio. Then you're going to export it as a FLAC file and name it something. I'll just go test model dataset. And I'm going to go save this. And the next step is to hop into either Mangio RVC Fork or Applio. They're going to be similar. So now what I recommend doing next is creating a folder somewhere to store your dataset and your final model. So right here, that's what I have over here. I just have a folder where I keep all my models here. So I'm going to right click, new folder, and I'm just going to name it test model or test AI. And we're going to go into it, and I'm going to make a vocals folder just to keep track of where the dataset is. And I'm just going to go drag in that dataset right down here into there. Double check the same one. This is going to be a test for. So this is the right one here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to your folder where you keep either your Mangio RVC fork or your Applio RVC fork. It's right here for me. And you're going to go open it up using the Go Web file. And once it's open at the same time, you're going to go over here and open up Tensorboard. If you don't have this file, there's a guide in the description. I will link over to guide. There's guides on AI Hub on how to use Tensorboard, how to download Tensorboard, install it, and open it. But what you're going to do is you're going to go wait for it to open here and travel to the localhost it says, 6006, localhost 6006. And so this is going to open up Tensorboard right here. So I'm going to pull this off to the side right here. And you're going to go over to train on the top here. Name is going to be the same model name that you have here, test AI. Go test AI. Target sample rate, we're going to leave that for a minute, and we're going to go to version 2. Now to find the target sample rate you want, either 40K, 48K, or 32K, we're going to open up a program called Spec. I will leave a link to this in the description. What this does is allows you to see the hertz levels across your model, so you can kind of see what sample rate you need to use. So I will go to the dataset here. It should be test dataset. Right here. We're going to open it up, and you can see that this is at 16K. So what you need to do is you take the top of this range right here, which is at 16,000, 16K, and multiply that by 2. So that's going to be 32K. So that means that we need to select a target sample rate of 32K. Next, under enter the path of your training folder, you're going to go open up your vocals folder right here and copy the file path directly into there. And you are going to process the data right here. This will take a minute or two. And once on the output information over here it says end preprocess, we know that this step is completed successfully. We're going to go over to step 2B here and scroll down. We're going to be choosing RMVPE. Ideally, this is the one you want as it's best for almost all test cases. However, if for some reason you don't want to use this, Mangio Crepe is the second best option. So you're going to hit feature extraction here. This is going to take a bit longer than the process data, but it won't take too long either. Alright, and to ensure that it's done, you have to wait till it says all feature done here. And once it does say all feature done, you know that the step is done, and we can move on to step 3 here, which first thing you're going to do before you mess with any of these settings here, you're going to hit train feature index and wait for that to finish training. Alright, and for that step, to ensure that's done, you have to wait till it says successful index construction, and it shows the added index file here, the .index file that starts with added. Once that's done, you can start messing with these settings here. To save, I'll full screen this just so you guys can see it a little bit better. This save frequency will save a version of your model every so often. I usually set it at 5. I think anything less is a bit overkill, and anything less, you won't be able to get an accurate depiction of when to stop your model. So I'd say keep this at 5. Your total training epochs, ideally you're going to be stopping this prematurely before this ends here, because you want to pick it at the right point, not just whenever it ends on its own. So I just set this arbitrarily at 500. You can set it lower if you need to. Any more, there's 0 point to doing any more. I usually set for 500 here because I stopped it before, but for this case I'm going to set it to 250 just as a precaution. Batch size per GPU, the higher the number, the lower your dataset can be, the worse your dataset can be. A lower batch size will allow for less artifacting and less mistakes in the dataset process, data training process, but you also have to make sure that your dataset is higher quality. I normally have it set at 4, but that's because my datasets are usually very high quality. If you're using this, I'd recommend setting at either 6 or 8. So just for an example of this, I'm going to keep it at 6 here. Keep this checked, don't turn this on, and check this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that this pre-trained V2 FOG 32K and this FOD one here are here. This is only set to the 32K one because that's what we had selected up here. There's also a 40 and 48K one if you had selected those options. So then what you're going to do is you're going to hit train model, and this is going to take a while. This is the main bulk of your training here. So either turn this on overnight or take a little break, go out for dinner, go touch some grass. But yeah, so I'm going to go give a little example of what it looks like while it's training in a little bit. So in the console window for the Mangio RVC fork or the Applio RVC fork, you should now see that it should start training epochs here. This is the first epoch. This is here, it's training the second one, training the third, the fourth, and fifth. These are sort of generations for your model. Over time, it's going to train more and more and get closer and closer to the model. However, you have to monitor your tensorboard to make sure you know when to stop for the most accurate model, so it's not overtrained and it has less artifacting in it. Right here, I have the tensorboard open that we opened up earlier. This is what it starts off by looking at. So to monitor our model that's currently training, we're going to go over to scalars on the top here, toggle all runs to turn everything off, and we are only going to select the model that we just started up. And since it's not over here yet, because we opened this up before training the model, we're going to hit the refresh button on the top right here, which now automatically opens up the test AI that we made there. I'm going to turn off test AI eval, so it's just test AI here. And on the filter tags up here, you're going to want to search up total and full screen total D and full screen total G. Turn on this middle setting for both, and then anytime you want to resize the window, hit this rightmost button and it will scale up. Now when you're trying to monitor Tensorboard, what you should do is on this left side here, turn on ignore outliers and chart scaling and set smoothing to 0.987. I feel like that's the best point to be able to see accurately how your model's training. So I'm going to be giving it a little bit of time to train so I could show you guys how you should be evaluating when to stop your models. Alright, and now it's been training for a little bit, and we have our first mode collapse. Mode collapses are very bad for your model. If you get a mode collapse, it's going to damage the quality of your model. If you get one mode collapse, or maybe even two, you could probably keep the model. But personally, I like to reset after a mode collapse and keep trying until I get 0 mode collapses and the model trains perfectly fine without any issues. So you can see right here is this mode collapse. A mode collapse is when the values crash. There's a more technical explanation for this. I will leave the link to that in the description as well. But pretty much the only thing you need to know is that if I turn off ignore outliers and chart scaling and turn smoothing all the way down to 0 and resize to fit the domain to data here, you can see that it's relatively flat and smooth, and then for just one epoch it crashes down significantly. That is the mode collapse because you can see it jumps right back up. I'm not going to go through the whole explanation here, but so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go stop training the model here, and I am going to go to the Mangio RVC right here. I'm going to go to logs, and I will delete the test AI folder right here. Sometimes it doesn't allow me to delete this file, so I'm going to have to. We're deleting the test AI folder right here. I give it permission to do so. So once I delete this, I'm going to go into the weights folder because now these are all pretty much garbage right here. So I can just delete all these right here and restart the training. So I'm going to go back here. You're going to process data again, do feature extraction again, and at this point what you could do is you can start playing around with your batch size right here, make it a little bit higher, a little bit lower, trying to find the spot at which it has the least amount of mode collapses. Because what you want to go for is I'd say around 100, 150 epochs before your first mode collapse, and I will pull the first saved epoch in my weights folder before that mode collapse and use that for the final model. So right here it's end pre-process, and I'm just going to wait here for the feature extraction because it shouldn't take too long. Alright, it says all feature done here. So I'm now going to go down here. I'm going to go adjust batch size, turn it down a little bit. If this worked for you on 6, I'd say stick with 6 or 8. But for me right now, I'm going to go back to 4, train the feature index, and then train the model, and I'll get back to you with the new Tensorboard, what it looks like. So after a few attempts of training the model, we eventually got a pretty good version of the model right here. As you can see, there's only 2 mode collapses here along a long training session here. So believe this is good to go ahead and zip up. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to, alright, as you can see here, we eventually ended up getting a good version of the model coming out of the training session here. There's only 2 mode collapses right here, along I think around 120 epochs right here. Yeah, around 120, 125 epochs. So what I'm going to do is I will end up packaging this out as the .zip. So I'm going to hit stop training right here, and then we're going to head over to the file path for it. Alright, so once you get to your file path that houses all your AI files, we're going to head over to the Mangio RVC fork right here, or the Applio fork. And first thing you want to get is you're going to go to your logs folder, and then go into the name of your AI here, and pull out this added IVF420, the .index one. So added .index. Don't choose the train.index, you have to choose the added one. So now I'm going to click on it, hit Control C. Then I will go over to where I'm housing all the files for this right here. I can honestly get rid of these. These are from my previous test right here. So right now I added that .index file, and then I'll go back to Mangio RVC fork, scroll down to weights, and I'll choose the 120 right here, because if we go to Tensorboard right here, you can see that it actually had another mode collapse right here. So I'm going to choose it right before then, which was at, so anything before steps 2, 9, 5, 2 are good. So I'm going to go right here. 2952 is at 124 epochs. So 120 epochs was the last save I have that was good. So I will copy the 120 right here. Copy 120. Then I will go to the test AI folder here, paste it in, and then highlight the added index, hold Control, click the second one, then right click on the test AI one here, and compress to a zip file. What this will be able to make you do is now you're able to either upload it to an online service right here, or you could use it for covers right now, because this is all you need for the actual trained model. This is your trained model right here, because if you click on it right here, you have your added.index and your .path. So this is all you need. So next step will be going over how to convert this trained model into a inference. Alright, so the next step, as I said earlier, was the inference model. So what I have right here is I have RVC GUI. This is one of the ways you could create an inference. I will leave the link to this program in the description right here. So first step is you have to import your model. So import model from .zip here. Scroll down to where you have your model right here. So it's going to be under date modified, the top one right here, test AI 120. And just wait for it to load in here. So it's loaded in. And we can go over to speaker ID here. And I have a lot of files here, but it will be under the same name. So that's test AI 120 here. So once you get this here, you're going to browse and then choose one of the files that you'd like to test out the audio with. I'm going to cut and go to an example of what this will sound like. So right here I have an example audio clip of what I'll inference right here. It's just a non-copyright sound song. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. So I have the song right here. I have the instrumental as well. So I'm just going to export this quickly as wave. I like inferencing as a wave file right here. It just makes it a little bit easier on me. So then I'm going to browse, find that vocal file there. And I usually like setting to creep here. setting creep hop to 256. You can set the pitch to whatever you want right here. Since I'm doing a song and the sample happened to be a low tone sample, a low pitch sample, because this is my voice talking right now, I'm going to try and set pitch to -12 here. If you're doing a cover with instrumentals in the background and all of that stuff, you want to have it set to either 0, -12, -24, 12, 24, basically any multiple of 12, because that 12 is a full octave here. So next up, feature retrieval rate over here. Basically, the higher that this is, the closer it'll sound to the dataset. The lower it is, the closer it'll sound to the song itself that you inputted. The reason you might want to keep this low is basically if you have it set to, I think, around 0.4, 0.2, all that stuff, it's going to sound closer to the voice you're trying to inference. So if there's any blemishes with your model, it'll kind of get smoothed out easier. So just as a tester, I'm going to keep it at the default of 0.4 and convert it. And I'm going to go pull it into a DAW, a DAW, just to show the example of how it sounds after it's done. So right here, I pulled all the samples I have into FL Studio right here, just to try it out. At the top here is the original song. The second one is just the instrumental that I isolated. The third is the direct vocals from that, so basically the negative of the instrumental. The fourth is I ran a noise gate on it, so it's going to sound pretty similar to that. And then right here is the octave down that I did.
The sky behind you was still night.
And right here I have just it at normal pitch, so I can layer them together later on.
Yeah.
At the normal octave here, since it was further away from the pitch of my dataset, it's actually going to sound a little worse than the octave down, but it will still sound pretty okay.
I knew was tonight we will fly above the sky.
And since they are a pitch of 0, -12, they're octave apart here, they're going to sound okay layered together as well.
We are you was still night.
And I have a little process to go through just for like going through and picking apart and kind of fixing the audio here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to track 1, the other one to track 2, and I'm just going to go apply my mixer state tracks for male voices here. The male voice will go in this one here, and on the one that's a little bit further down, I just apply a simple reverb on it. So I'm going to do that quickly here. Reverb. Put on some quick settings here. Increase size. Turn on this other reverb here. So I'm just applying little settings here. This is supposed to just make it sound a little bit better. So with these settings right here, this is how it'll sound with just the normal one.
We are like heroes tonight. We will fly up
And I can pick that part and say that that's a little bit too much reverb, so I lower down the decay.
above the sky. We are like heroes tonight.
And then the other one here.
Down to town, from London to Taiwan.
And then together.
I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are.
And then along with the instrumental here, it should sound okay. So I can just have it directly as this one.
Heroes tonight. We will
Or I can have this one.
fly above the
Or even both.
sky. We are heroes tonight. We are.
And what you should do anytime you're doing, you're trying to make a cover of a song here, what I'd recommend doing, with your isolated vocal sample, set that to a different one here, and try and match up the volumes. So yeah, I'm looking at the pitches right here, or the volumes here, trying to match them up at each point, and just adjusting the volumes here for if they don't match.
I can see my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking.
So now I set insert 1 here, which is the normal one, a little bit lower than insert 3, which is what the normal vocals sound like, because I'd like to have the lower one turned on, but just like a bit lower like this, so it's kind of more in the background there. So let's see how this sounds.
But the snow sound for me. I've been playing from sounds.
So I'm gonna just mute this for a second, just listen to this too.
Down from London to Thailand, I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky.
And that actually sounded a bit too quiet for the sample there, so I'm gonna select. Oops. I'm just gonna go bring up this one to like there, and increase the sample a bit to match it.
We are heroes tonight. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky.
And that's still a little bit too quiet, so I'm gonna go turn the instrumental to track 4 and lower it down.
We are heroes tonight.
And this should do it for the full song here. I can export this as, FLAC, WAV, or MP3 or whatever, and it all should be there. So hopefully with this video, this is going through the entire process of vocal isolation, actually creating your dataset there, training it, going through Tensorboard, and the cover process. So thank you guys for watching. Alright, have a good day.
Go right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear. And don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Thailand. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky.